Righty, what's up? Video response type movie to Ed Grout. You made a lot of points and took a lot of little notes, and hopefully I hit the issues that you were speaking on the right way, but I may forget exactly what you said. But anyways, one first thing I disagreed with was my level of education has been, the integrity of my education has been violated by the public schools, because public school system just don't work. Well, I think what you're looking at is what we have in America right now, which isn't public education. It's pretty much private education, because whatever community I was born into, if it's a high income community, we'll be able to afford a better school than a low income community. So I just made a video on this like 5 seconds ago. So that's private to me. That's like you can afford it, you get better. The only reason it's considered public is because if I have a low income, if my community is high income, I'll get a better school. So that's kind of why it's considered public, but it really ain't. It's private. That's why schools in the ghettos are probably some of the worst schools you can come across, because it ain't fair and balanced across the board. It's what you can afford. Next thing you stated was, socialist governments are so easy to, like a dictator, it's so easy to get in there. But I mean, that not on a global level, not the way I see it. See, the way it would work is first you, hopefully instant runoff voting is. It's where you grade politicians on how best they represent you, and then the one with the better chance of winning will get elected. But just because you voted for a guy who wasn't popular doesn't mean they're just going to throw your vote away. Just look up instant runoff voting. You probably already know about it though. So you get first of all, you get represented. Your vote wouldn't be compromised by a two-party system, which is so easy to compromise. It's so easy to buy off just one party. And the way the government seats would be selected is on a percentage basis. If your party gets 10% of the votes, you get 10% of the seats. Since this government would be comprised of all countries and all people, all sorts of parties, you couldn't have a winner take all. You couldn't have. There'd be tons of parties, and pretty much you'd be represented no matter what. Because let's say, you probably need at least a 5% to get a seat. But if all you need is 5%, your country is going to get, at least a seat. And it'd be so hard for a Hitler-esque type dictator to get, over 50% to just 50% of the world to just completely control any policy that they create. It'd be so hard for him to get 50%. It's just impossible. So what you're looking at is the old school socialists that just didn't have it right. You said that in a free trade, the abundance of wealth it creates, the poor class really ain't poor. All it is I see what you're saying, but it's like real wealth comes from resources you have in your country, or what you bring into the country, or what you offer to other countries. So, pretty much, that it wouldn't matter what your policies are. If you got wealth, it's just because you have the resources within your border, or you have something to offer the world as a labor force, or some kind of. So I forget exactly what you said, but anyways, I'm just going to move on. I want to commend you for noticing that all the policies our government put out are businesses, because business got into government, and that's because they compromised one party, two party. It's too easy. We don't put enough pressure on politicians and business. They got all the money to buy off the politicians. There's no laws in place. Like there's some, but it's so easy to just buy these fuckers off that we're really not being represented. But you said it's because the government Now, it's giving the businesses money. See, I don't like that either. But there's some things that the government does need to give to the businesses, because if it wasn't for government subsidies, the airplane industry would have tanked. And then what we would have had is that's a big part of our infrastructure to maintain the country. It wouldn't have been profitable to fly jets anymore, so they wouldn't do it. They go bankrupt. But then people need to get around quickly, so the government had to give them money. We could argue that all day, but I mean that's what I see. You know, government needs to subsidize certain things because they're necessities. They don't need to subsidize fucking iPods and shit like that, which, you know, probably is happening. But anyways, let's see. You said, like, one thing I really disagree with you on is, you know, the population maintains itself. I mean, yeah, the population maintains itself. People will starve off. But see, I don't want someone to live a shitty fucking life, starving to death, when they pretty much, like, this may sound crazy to you, but they could be pretty much, we could have solved that problem from the start. You know, aborting children or preventing children's birth, pretty much, it doesn't hurt them. They don't have the cognitive capabilities of, you know, sensing pain. The brain's not developed that high of a level yet. I mean, this part's hard to explain, but I mean, you know, I don't want people starving to death. That's ridiculous. I don't want, to me, it ain't about quantity of life. It's about the quality. I mean, hell, if I could just bring in 10 billion people right now, would you like that? Like, I could just put 10 billion people on the planet right now, and now, you know, if you can't take care of yourself, you're going to die off. You're probably going to starve to death because you won't be able to buy any food, because any food out there, people are going to be, I mean, it's just like, you know, that may sound crazy, but I mean, there is going to be a point in our future where the population will be uncontrollable. That's how bacteria works. It will multiply, you know, every 30 seconds or something until it eats off all the food sources, and then 90% of it will die off. 99% will just die off. And I don't want that to happen to people. People have feelings, you know. People have pain. I don't want people to suffer. You said at one part, you know, one policy of socialism is kind of, you know, to take away your guns. 'Cause, I mean, they're fairly dangerous. And you said, like, how would you like if someone took your gun and then turned around and pointed at you? But see, that's the thing, though. I'm for disbanding the military. When there's global socialism, there wouldn't be nations competing with each other. There wouldn't be. All that you would need is like a police force type authority, because, you know, people always say, like, you know, well, what about Osama's and Islamic fundamentalists and Korea's and shit? Like, how would you deal with them? Well, that is not a job for one country to do, because when one country does it, it's usually in their own interest. Like, it's geopolitical war. They'll do it for resources. When the world government does it, it would be in the best interest of the people of the world. I mean, what are they going to do? They already have all the resources and shit. They're not going to, like... So anyways, I mean... So, I mean, I'm for disbanding the military. I'm for getting rid of that. You said at one point, you know, cars and houses would be the same under socialist policies, but I mean, pretty much it's like the most efficient car would be established. Like, this car uses no gas. They're like barely any gas. I mean, if it's effective, it reduces waste, it increases the standard of living for everybody. You just gotta sacrifice, you know, your Hummers, you know? Anyway, that's all I got for now. I'm sorry if it made it short. Well, 10 minutes is good enough for me. Peace out.